Hi, I'm Eric. Thanks for joining me for this week's In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. Last fall, I had a chance to come to the ribbon cutting for the new Medical Education Center here at Ivy Tech, and we thought we should show it here on In Focus. So come on, let's talk to Chad Bolser, Chancellor of Ivy Tech, and see what they've got going on in here. You know, if you listen carefully, you probably hear the fountain in the background, which means you know where we are. We're on the second floor of Ivy Tech, and I'm having a chance to speak with Chad Bolser, Chancellor at Ivy Tech Richmond. Richmond, Connorsville, Rushville?
Rushville, and we also are up in Randolph County, Union City at Vision Corner up there. So lots of good places.
I hear that is an incredible space.
It really is, and interestingly enough, connected to this space, lots of detail has been put in to make sure that the high school students that are engaging with RAS 32, that could take a whole entire other show to talk about that operation, but they are also in the healthcare business that, along with our partnership and Reed's partnership, they have labs up there that high school students are going to be pretty close to an LPN before they get done.
This is the whole healthcare industry and education have both really changed a lot, I think, since the pandemic. Is that an overstatement?
Yeah, I think that's really clear that it's changed, and it changed because there is such a shortage of workers. And I think locally we know that's been the case. It's a growing field. It's going to continue to grow. We're not getting any younger. And so,
Speak for yourself.
Except for you. So the healthcare industry is always going to be in demand. And I think what we've seen is specialization, the desire to make sure that people get into it. They see it as at a younger age, in middle school, in high school, as a viable career opportunity. And I think we all know that. We know doctors, the term doctors and nurses, but there is a wide variety of employment opportunities, career opportunities.
Sure.
And I think getting that into the hands of young people is really a good thing. And we've seen great growth, I think, as a result of our facilities, but mostly because our programming is really good, our education and our output has been really good for folks who want to be in that career.
Is some of what we're going to see based on how the current generation learns?
Oh, yeah, I think the most effective way to educate is to do, right? Like, we all know that. It's funny when we're talking about this whole conversation.
Sure.
You said, I do what I do, and I've been doing it for so long, I just know what I'm doing, right? And you learn by doing. And that's no different whether you're dealing in healthcare or IT or any of the programs, manufacturing. You're going to learn by doing. And what you're really seeing here is the ability for the educational process to be high fidelity, simulations, experiential right from the beginning, from day one. And that is a tremendous change from going in, listening to some folks talk about the subject matter, and then coming back later on and saying, okay, let's get you into the simulation, or let's get you into a clinical. This being right now, from day one, an experiential process is a big deal. And I think we had a wonderful simulation space, and we've been able to quadruple that simulation space, and the numbers back that up. We were able to quadruple the amount of simulations. And so if you think about that from a student perspective, having the ability to not only be involved in the process, but to watch others, debrief with others.
Yeah.
Faculty were really big on ensuring a really good debrief area, so you didn't have people packed in watching, but you could have people out there observing and watching the film. And as a old basketball coach, we like watching film.
Of course.
And so we think that's pretty cool. And that's what's happening on a day-to-day basis in these sim labs.
One of the first areas we're going to go into one of the last times I was here before this renovation, it was your office.
Well, that's right. Yeah.
And you said to me, we're going to take this office, we're going to blow it up, we're going to make it. You didn't mention all the way around the floor. Was that part of the original, or did this evolve as you went?
Well, let's say that was the starting point. You know, if the origin story of this healthcare floor is what can we do to ensure that in a call for an expansion of the nursing program, and that was a statewide call throughout the state, increase the number of nurses by 25%. We've done that by 30%. How can you do that and still maintain the unbelievable success? Plus 90% of our students pass their exam, the post-graduation exam, first time, and that's how we're measured in terms of success.
Okay.
That deal, how can you ensure that that's going to continue, that success is going to continue when you keep growing that program? And the faculty were really clear. If you want to do it, you've got to change the simulation space. You've got to provide more access for students. And you know what the best place would be for it? Right here. And I was like, wait a minute, right here? Like,
behind this desk?
Behind this desk in the boardroom, you know, this is kind of sacred area, right? And they said, not so sacred. We think our simulation space would be sacred. And that's I think meeting workforce needs, meeting the demand of for our students, having a quality educational experience is awesome. But having something that when we take a look at the progress, this is driven by faculty and driven by people who know what it takes to create a great healthcare experience. That's the coolest part of this story. This wasn't something we just dreamed up. This was something that our faculty said, if you're going to do it right, let's do it this way.
And then you found a partner in Reed Health that would help you all transform. And how important and how much input did they had in what you've developed here?
Well, first of all, if you've been into any of Reed's smart rooms and any of the places that will go in these simulation spaces, you will recognize the different backgrounds. And when I say backgrounds, to the detail of the walls, where the outlets are, where the oxygen tubes are, where the things that you're going to do as a healthcare professional. Now, by the way, all the folks in the healthcare industry and our faculty know that my amount of information in terms of all the equipment in there is pretty limited. Like I say, hey, go see the experts if you want to know about that.
I understand.
But the detail that goes into that, Reed was really great about here's what we do, here's how we want to provide access for your students, and all the way down to the software, which we'll talk a lot about it, but the Epic system and our engagement with that, the ability to do that. So patient care is one thing, but being able to do the healthcare records and that on-time sort of thing that you do using the Epic system has just been huge for us.
Let's start by taking a look at what used to be your office.
That's
I think that is the best place for us to kind of begin this process. And it also takes, besides we mentioned a partner like Reed, it also takes community members, individuals, businesses to be a part of this, and you all were able to put a name on this healthcare area. Let's not forget that.
Absolutely. Deborah Edelman came alongside with us, and I think it has been so great to see her imprint on this space, the importance that she places not only on just the educational experience, but also the quality healthcare that is necessary in this region. The reality is, in the 5 counties that we serve, it's extremely important, and Deborah knows that as well as anyone. And so I think the joy that we've seen in this partnership, it's always great. Philanthropic partnerships are critical to this, but it's also one of those things that's just a good community member that knows the importance of what I think we're doing here at Ivy Tech, but the educational community is doing at large. When we talk about Reed's influence, Jason Troutwine always talks heavily about let's keep them here, let's keep let's give the opportunities to stay here. It's okay when our students stay here and work here. This is the kind of partnership you have to have in order to make that happen.
As you step into this first room, what do we have here? Because as we break this floor down, there's different areas. I was here in November when you all kind of did the rollout, and I, walking from room to room, didn't really realize the expanse of the changes that you all were making.
Yeah, and really what we wanted to do was, this certainly, it doesn't encompass all of healthcare, but it's really close, and especially for the jobs that are in our service area, and again, looking towards our healthcare partner that is less than a half a mile away on our campus, to say, what do you need? And so I think what's happened in that is we've tried to ramp up those all of those programs that can one, be a funnel into whatever level of healthcare that an individual would want to be, but also a variety of ways to get in there. So from CNA to paramedic to medical assisting, there's just a ton of opportunity, and that it's all now in one space, which we think is that makes it unique.
And I think people have asked for a number of years, what is the connection, and how does the connection between where Ivy Tech is, where IU East is, where Reed is, how does that work together? And I think this makes it even a better relationship.
Well, it makes
in terms of proximity
there's
and knowledge.
No question, and that we're so fortunate to have that progression. If you think about what is available to a young person or to a person going back into the workforce from that perspective, you're training here, you're training at IU East, and then have the opportunity for employment, all in the same venue, essentially. We have intentionally set up these spaces so there can be camaraderie, there can be recruiting. We're hoping to make sure that the alignment is not just about the beginning of the process or during the process, but we're highly invested in ensuring that our students get the career that they want to. And so making sure that those three things, if they want to go after their RN to pursue, because ours is an ASN, Associates in Nursing, a 2-year degree, and if they want to go on and transfer to a BSN program over at IU East, or go directly into the workforce, it's a way for us right here in this really cool space to make it happen.
See the first simulation room that we got.
Absolutely.
Magic key.
I have a magic key. You notice I don't have a badge.
I thought
the nursing faculty are really smart faculty. They may know they don't want me in here any more than I have to be. So the greatest part about this whole setup is right from the very beginning you get the feel. If you go to the smart room over at Reed, if you go into this a development, you can speak to the patient through this. You have to badge in, and you would go in and be able to do that. But that is a product of COVID, right? When we couldn't enter facilities or couldn't enter rooms. So this is a way for us to check the people to check on the patient in there, and that obviously works pretty well. And you'll see this as a part of the function at the hospital. And then what we get here is really the smart room atmosphere, and that's really critical for us. From the board here, and as we can see, this is whenever I've been in the hospital, it used to be a whiteboard, and we'd write on it.
And you're right on the whiteboard. Yes.
Yeah. So, but just think about it like this: that everything is integrated now from place to place, and again, going back to the Epic software, that's being inputted at the space. It's displayed here. It's displayed for family members. You will see different family setups and people. This is our ICU, intensive care area. And the intensive care area, one, has a Jacob here, our high fidelity mannequin. And they do a lot of stuff. And now I'm hoping because we didn't set that up for them to do a lot of stuff. So what they do, I'm running out of the room as fast as I can because they're just going on their own. And something has taken over. But the high fidelity mannequin, they talk, they speak, they have a pulse, they are a real patient. So much so, Eric, that with our the way we've networked with Epic, they actually are patients in the system. So it's obviously not the system, but it's the shadow system, just like they would be if it, and again, thinking about it, experiential opportunities from day one. You are dealing with a real patient. So if you don't get things right in terms of the healthcare records, it affects how care goes along.
Without a doubt.
And it's a huge part of the educational experience.
Nice. The mannequins, obviously, a voice. When I was here, they're talking. There's that interaction, which everybody's not comfortable with to start. That bedside manner that's incredibly important.
Yeah, and I'll just tell you this. One of the things that I've learned, and again, we had simulation spaces before, and did a lot of simulations. Again, having them so often and having more of them, you get a chance to run by from time to time and look at the schedule. Here's the other interesting thing that we see is this is set up not just only for patient care, but what's a part of patient care? How you interact with the people that are in the room. And so you'll see that difference between an ICU unit, a post-op space, a pediatric post-op space, and a birthing area. You know, all of those things are incorporated in our simulations here, and that's why everything becomes unique to those simulations and how they react. Each of the nursing students.
You've mentioned that you've been able to grow the number of people in the program. What has been the reaction? Because this just went online a few months ago.
Yeah, started in the fall. Yeah, started using it.
A year ago, somebody who was in the program, now somebody who's still in the program, the changes that they have seen in that training.
Yeah, I don't think we can really articulate what the response has been and how much more preparation. It's just hands-on experience. And again, the idea of doing 25 to 28 simulations in the course of the semester to doing over 90 in a few months. You know, that's the kind of thing that you just can't replicate. There's nothing you can do to replicate that experience than put them in this type of environment.
I've been in a room like this, and to say it's a little eerie how close it really is.
Yeah. When you talk about the partnership at Reed, that's the part that I think is really like, the details matter.
Even keep plugged in, which it seems like a little.
Absolutely, you see it. You would see exactly the same thing, and again, to the point that I don't know half of the things on here that us history majors didn't get any of this stuff. but everything that you see in here is there, and it's down to detail, and that's really. I think the influence and the availability and the working through that with the healthcare folks at Reed have been fantastic. Jason and Misty just really drove that home.
They were all here for your opening. As you go to what's the next place you want to take us to?
We'll head over to we do a little post-op thing. It's pediatric post-op.
And all of this got changed. I mean, this looks like you would be walking through the halls.
Yeah, this is human resources. This is the foundation. My office was down there, and then our boardroom was at the end of the hallway. So I can't. We did have some long-term employees that haven't been here for a while, and they were like, "I used to sit there," and so. But that's a good thing, right? Like this is exactly the thing. So let me show you one place before we get over this. This was something that our faculty really felt important, and you can understand from an educational perspective why this would matter. But you can see this is integrated into the sim spaces. You can watch live. You can watch back on tape. You can have, so now you have 3 people in a sim and 10 students in here. All of a sudden now you're doing that, and you're allowing them to experience, more students to experience, take notes and learn and have that, even though they're not in the sim, they're learning from the sim.
Right.
This was really an important part of the faculty input on this, was just to say, look, you can do all the sim spaces in the world, but what's really important is the access to the knowledge and being able to talk about it and review it and do all that. So everywhere you go, you're on camera. Every move that you make, so it can all be analyzed. And that's stuff that I think that's where teaching and learning and how folks engage with the material. This is really an important part of it. And the faculty said, we don't just want one. If you're going to put 2 over here, 2 sim spaces and 2 on the other side, we want 2 of these.
They kept taking the room.
And we said, yeah, we're giving it all away anyway.
And you said,
so,
okay,
yeah, absolutely, we're doing that. And no, I think it does say a little bit about the importance that we have placed on the experience of the student. Because when you grow as fast as we have grown in some of that area, sometimes quality can suffer. And Heather Wierzbinski-Cross is our dean, and she is a Richmond High School grad and an IU East grad, and she's been a part of the healthcare community. She's really a leader in that. And she has created a team that, 1, will tell you what they need to be successful, and 2, demands the highest of quality. And if someone would say we're going to add 30, 40 students to your program, sometimes people would say, well, that might affect our outcomes. And in fact, our percentage of passing has went up into the mid-90s. Higher than most years, and that's a credit to just great faculty, great teaching and learning, and taking advantage of a really good space. And this is what I always say is the cool part of that is that we're in January, we're 6 months into this. Right. We're not in, we haven't been doing this for 3 years. This is just the first step.
As you looking out what used to be your window and going, you had a nice view.
It was a nice view. It was a nice view. I did move to a place that, although it's wonderful build, it's not exact, there's no view. The view is of the hallway.
You mentioned a couple of times the localization of this and how important that is.
Philosophically, I think, as we talk about, I spent time on this campus from 2014 to 2019. Yep. And then I got an opportunity to spend 3 years in the system going around. And then in the fall of 22, returned back to campus as a chancellor. And I think at that point, I think we needed a philosophic adjustment to what we were doing. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't being critical of anything that was going on here, other than we needed to be able to state out loud, here's who we're serving. Okay. Our mission over this time is to make these 5 counties absolute better. And we need to do that through addressing our workforce for all of our sectors that are in this county. We don't need to develop for sectors that aren't. We're going to address employers first. Sure, we're going to go to all kinds of programs, but we're going to put a high priority and emphasis on this. And so facilities are one piece of it. Mm-hmm. Investment in faculty are another piece of it. Ensuring that we have all the support mechanisms for students that are available. But this is part one of a lot of phases of directing workforce and workforce need. One of our, and we talk about this a lot, one of our metrics here at Ivy Tech, statewide, how we're measured as a campus, is increasing average median wage in our service area. And
that's the first time I've heard that.
Yeah, it is one of our core metrics. And so, by the way, we're pretty unique in the educational space, is to say, listen, if we're doing our job better and we're producing workers that go into the marketplace mm-hmm. and have good jobs and good careers, naturally we will help to increase, obviously, educational attainment, but also the wages that our graduates and our people get. And if you think about it, that's why we focus specifically on high wage, high demand jobs. We really target that. And we really try to make that emphasis in there because that metric's really important, and it's good for the future of our area.
What have you all learned, and we can start to walk toward the next place, what have you all learned in this process, in creating this area that you think Ivy Tech here, and maybe others around the state, might be able to use to recreate as they continue to change, look, and advance? Because there are other areas. You all picked the big one. One, healthcare. We know the healthcare outcomes in this area, in this region, are low, even compared to statewide.
No doubt.
And you want to make that better, but you want to do it not just in the healthcare sector, but in other sectors. So did you all learn things that make your transition and your work with some of our manufacturers or other areas easier? Yeah,
I think here's the biggest change, I think, from a philosophic standpoint, is we had an idea that we needed to increase nurses. That came out of a crisis statewide. And the General Assembly said we need to do something, and so they did that. What we said was, if we're going to do this well, we need to do something different. And we have some ideas about making better experiences. But we didn't say, we know all of the things. We said, hey, how about let's talk to our actual employer and employers about this process and let them guide us. Sometimes in education, I'm not careful. Sometimes in education, we don't necessarily allow industry to guide us as much as we probably should. And you know that one of the things that I had an opportunity to do along with some other folks from the area was go to Switzerland and take a look at their educational system last summer. And it was one of those things where they kept pounding on that idea that what really makes them successful is that industry takes the lead and education helps to facilitate it. And I think that although that's not, it's not universal and it can't be done in all places.
Sure.
But I think our willingness to be able to do that allows for us to say, you know what? Let's let our employer help us to design rooms that will make it easier for the transition and the training and shorten that time. Now, I think we do that in a lot of spaces, but I think to do that with that amount of intentionality is the thing that you can take from this experiment. And also, I think will guide us in the way we approach things in the future.
Does Ivy Tech's mission make it easier for you all to consider that as an option?
Well, we've been blessed not only with just a great mission, but we have a great leader in Sue Ellspermann, who has, as a president, who has really driven home the idea of community, the idea of ensuring that we are rapidly responding. We talk about flexibility and adaptability in education. Can we do that? Because it may just be, and even for our students, it may be the most important quality that we have. Circumstances are always going to change, right? The economy is going to change. The job opportunities are going to change. Our ability to adapt and be flexible and to move forward with that is maybe the most important quality that we can do in our educational process. And I think that translates into the pedagogy that takes place in and around our classrooms and in and around simulation spaces. Because what are we really teaching here? We're not teaching how to hey, this is a certain scenario that you should react by doing this, this, and this. You're going in and saying, this is a patient and here comes an issue. And your ability to adapt and to think on the fly is really probably the most important gift we can give. And to do that over and over and over. And so why shouldn't educational institutions be that way? It should be at the forefront of everything that we do.
You're watching In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. I have no idea how long we are into this conversation, but I haven't reminded you of that. We are at Ivy Tech Community College, Richmond. We are having a chance to spend some time with Chancellor Chad Bolser as we take a look at their education, their medical education health center, which really just opened a few months ago, 6 months.
Yeah, that's right.
Official ribbon cutting, I think, was like November.
Yeah, October.
It was a busy evening. I know there were a number of people. I came in and I had to go to something else. But to be able to show this space, we thought was incredibly important, and we appreciate your time in kind of giving us this tour.
Well, and the thing about this is we've yet to, I bring lots of folks up and through and give this tour, and what's amazing is it's super easy to sell what we're doing when you see this is the outcome of a renovation. This is the outcome of us doing this process, because it meets our mission. It's for employment. It's about student experience and about those outcomes.
As we continue on this trip, we've got more rooms.
That's right. So the post-op and the pediatric. This is a change of a little bit. Again, you'll see a little bit of the change in the setup of the rooms. Right. More with the idea of family being involved. And if we think about that from the information that's available, how to deal with that, how to ensure that family members know what's going on, because that's a lot of, not that you wouldn't have that in an ICU situation or anything, and even an adult situation, but this becomes unique in the experience. So this room is just a little bit different and provides different experiences there. Again, same technology in all of it.
Sure.
With the smart room capabilities, and again, our sim coordinator goes in there and they do the magic with the mannequin, and we continue on with the process.
And again, the important part of interacting with the family members that are doing that, making sure they're comfortable. Yeah. It keeps a lot of the extra noise away from things too.
Well, and one of the things I think we've learned is, at the end of the year, our healthcare folks do a large simulation of accident and big disaster, and they actually take the helicopter away, but those things are about your medical the medical part of what you're doing, the healthcare part of it, but it's also about the human being part of that and how one reacts, because we don't know until we get in who the family member might be sitting there and what their thoughts are about you and what you're doing and all that stuff. Right. That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
You all took through the whole thing. So multiple rooms, multiple spaces. Yeah.
This is the next room that we're going to go in is the favorite of almost everybody that's visited, and it's why we save it to last.
Okay.
On the tour. But this is our birthing room. So we have our mother patient who does give birth. And gives birth on a regular basis. She is sleeping now. She's tired, and it's very realistic. And so I don't stay around here very much. Whenever a sim comes in, I get out. But it's again, different backgrounds, different feel. This is the environment that you would be in, and so far to show, this is, and we'll see this is obviously the infant there, and this they're all very realistic in what they and how they feel and how they sound and the things. Mm-hmm. This gets really, and the emotions of the students when they handle the infant is amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. We've turned that on for several guests, and boy, that's an experience all in and of itself.
Nice.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool stuff.
When you think about where you go from here with this, you talked about there is room.
Yeah.
How much room? How big can this program be? Does it max out at some point? and you talked about how you keep it going.
Yeah. Well, I think really, to be honest with you, I think if we were to project out for 5 years, first of all, the assumption is that it's always going to grow and healthcare needs are always going to be there. But I think we have to be honest enough to say we're unsure exactly of what that future would be in 5 years. I think our place is, regardless of how much we grow the actual nursing program, I think that funnel of healthcare workers that are, again, paramedics, phlebotomists, medical assisting, the CMAs, the QMAs, the continual levels of different certifications in the healthcare field. That's really going to be that's where we should and are making that focus take place, because if we grow that funnel, nursing will take care of itself. And then we'll be able to meet the employer needs, and also I think give ourselves a foundation that if by chance the General Assembly ever come and say, hey, double the amount of nurses, that would be that foundation, the healthcare foundation, allowing places like Randolph County, Wayne County, all of those schools, they should, Rush, Fayette, Union, all should have healthcare opportunities embedded within the schools. And I think there's opportunities for that to take place with the new graduation requirements and how that's all going to take place. So we're going to see a lot of transition in that. And I think that's where our area of focus begins. Are we going to double the amount of nurses we put out? Probably not. But I think doubling the amount of people that are involved in some healthcare experience is really critical.
And I was wondering about that change based on, and obviously it's still being tweaked in the legislature, what those educational requirements are going to be. And it's sounding like that experiential learning piece in high school is going to rise very much to the top.
Yeah, if you think about it as a fundamental question of how do you teach people to work, it's not much different than what we're talking about. How do we teach people to be great nurses or great healthcare professionals? You give them experiences from day one, meaningful educational experiences. Now, in healthcare, you got to provide mannequins because we can't be. Now we get plenty of clinical experiences. Don't get me wrong. Our folks have lots and lots of hours.
Sure.
So those kind of things have to be in place. But I think as we take a look in all the nuances of the new graduation requirements, if we just think about it in that way, I think that allows us to be less scared or worrisome about the new requirements, and just think of it like that. It's really an effective way to educate folks. And learning to go to work, you work, right? And there's no book or handbook that will say you have to show up on time, you have to participate in the process. So I think if we just boil it down to that, then the details of that experience will left up to the individual schools. And I think healthcare is obviously a place that we can make some impact, and I think is a great career option for lots of folks in our area.
As we continue our conversation with Chad Bolser, Chancellor at Ivy Tech, Richmond, Connorsville, Rushville, he's hanging out in Randolph County.
We try to cover this area pretty good.
Probably still putting less miles in your car than you used to.
No doubt about that. No doubt about that.
We're going to leave kind of the medical, the nursing simulation portion of this, because you all went even beyond that. Into some ambulance tech, I guess.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that, as you all are thinking about this, the communicant, there are so many aspects to this floor in all areas of the healthcare experience. But I think this is really new, and I think this next part is really cool because of, one, the experience that's available, but also the partnership that when we talk about the Reed partnership, this takes it to the next level.
Okay.
Now, I also, as we're walking down here to to our ambulance area, I'd be remiss not to say this is the Iden collection from that was donated by John Stidham, Dave Stidham's brother. He has been a huge partner for us and donated a lot of art that was on this floor. This actually was in our boardroom, and so we. Not all of the pieces are here. They will be distributed throughout throughout our facility. But it's a really cool. When you tear up a space,
sure,
there are things that need to be put into place. And so this used to be a set of lockers, and our own folks took out the lockers and made this display.
Got nice art.
Yes, and really a cool. We think just a great addition to our space here. Richmond Art Museum, Sean Dingworth was critical in making that look right. They did not ask me.
You didn't frame those?
They didn't. I didn't frame them. I didn't place them. I didn't pick out the spot. They didn't allow me anywhere near the art, and I don't know why.
I don't
Not
understand.
That I don't either.
Next time we talk to Sean, we'll ask him.
Yes, tell him
why or how he cut you out.
That's right. So this here is it is what it looks like. It is it's the paramedic program, and it is the ambulance simulator. Newly installed here, brand new. One of the really interesting things is, and I think this says a little bit about what we're doing here. There was an ambulance at one point here on campus. That program left during a period of time, and we didn't have anything available. This is Reed's program and faculty member, and then we house it and we certify it and it's a complete joint effort on this. And we felt like this was a great investment for us, and we think it's one of the really cool things that we can do. Here we go. This is the area, and so that's not the cool part. The cool part is over here, in which you can drive that thing. And you can drive it, and it simulates the driving area. And let me just tell you something.
Have you been in it when
I have been in it on the opening night. We took some folks in, and you are projected on the walls. Again, thinking about the simulation part, the experiential part, if you just think about that from you're doing all of the medical things that happen while you're riding in a vehicle that may hit a pothole, and is going to go at could be at high speeds, could be at low, is not going to be necessarily a smooth situation. So we thought this was a really important part of that, and we think this is just again. One of the things that we wanted to do in all of these healthcare spaces is we wanted the imprint of our employer on this, and I think this has been phenomenal. The program is full, and they're continuing on with their cohort here, and we've been thrilled with that.
You've said that 2 or 3 times in the time that we've talked. The program is full.
Yeah, we're certainly not full in all of it, and we've got plenty of room to grow. But I would just say that we have experienced for the last couple years significant enrollment growth. We think that it is due to doing what is in demand here, and to take an honest assessment of that and to grow those where jobs are, and again driving that mission of ensuring that educational attainment is here, rising wages, and making sure that we're meeting employer need. That's a good formula to make sure your programs are going well.
Chad is a very busy individual. We greatly appreciate the time. Before I let you go, is there anything that you really want the community to know about Ivy Tech as a whole? It doesn't even have to be about this that I haven't had a chance to ask you about, because we focused on this part, and obviously Ivy Tech is much more than this.
One, this area is going to grow. This is going to be if you come back in a year, this is going to be different. And I think, in our educational space, from the high school involvement, where 1 in 3 high school students in our service area take some dual credit in high school, and over 300, maybe close to 400 individuals will walk away with a credential, including my daughter, by the way, before they graduate from high school, to our skills training that is non-traditional academic but short-term credentialed experiences. We're growing, and our influence is changing. It's different. It's meeting a fast-paced economy, but it's really growing. And the health of our institution, not just here but statewide, I think is as good as it has ever been. And we're really proud of the work that we're doing.
It's always good to spend time with you.
Always good.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to be back. We're going to talk to Brandy Jackson coming up in just a couple of minutes as we continue with In Focus on WGTV, Channel 11.
The nursing program here at Ivy Tech Community College is excellent because of the facilities that we offer, the immediacy of the simulations that we put our students in. We get in hands-on from the beginning. We don't wait for experiences to happen. It's really the secret sauce in having an excellent program.
We have an amazing culture. Faculty truly care about student success. We have incredibly high standards. We will raise the bar because we know that they can meet it, but we'll help them get there. The sim space that we have built, the skills labs that we have, that's one of the ways that we do that, because we've created a safe environment to learn, a realistic, high fidelity environment where they can build confidence and their skills and their belief in themselves to be a successful nurse.
One of the great things about Ivy Tech and our collaboration with them is that they're always willing to say yes. We can come to them and say, hey, this is something that we need. We need more nurses in this area. And they're willing to say, how can we help? A great example of that is the sim lab. We want to train future nurses on equipment that you all use so that when they go to Reed Health, they're experienced, they understand that equipment, they're familiar with it. That just shows how deep and rich our collaboration is. And I think that we're an envy across the state when it comes to that kind of collaboration and relationship.
The quality of the Ivy Tech nursing program really stems from the top down. They are empowered to be innovative and collaborative and really push those students to the top of their practice. These nurses will experience night shifts and 12-hour shifts. Being at the elbow with practicing clinicians offers them a true front stage view of what it's like to be a nurse.
Ivy Tech has a good reputation. They have a good footprint on the hospital and the community. And I think Ivy Tech has a strong nursing program, and it shows with the nurses that they produce and the NCLEX rates. It is a rigorous program, but it's half the time and less cost.
I think they prepare you very well with the clinical experience because they put you in these situations where you can get as much as you want out of it. They intentionally try to push you to see these new things and branch out and start to develop yourself as a nurse, but you also have that safety net. The staff's always there to help.
In my first 2 weeks of clinicals, I really suffered what you might think of as imposter syndrome, and I am a completely different person now, and it is thanks to what I have gotten from this program. I could not have made the transition of where I was then to where I am now without the support of this school.
I think the future of Ivy Tech Richmond nursing and healthcare programs in general is incredibly bright. There's really kind of endless possibility because we're in a really unique situation. We have amazing partnerships with our clinical partners, and our campus has incredibly supportive leadership.
And welcome back to In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. Whether you are watching us on Channel 11 or whether you are watching on YouTube, our Facebook page, maybe it's a Sunday morning and you're working out and you're just listening to the audio on G1013 or their sister station, ESPN Radio, 1490 AM, 100.9 FM, WKBV. We appreciate the time that you're spending with In Focus. We've wrapped up our conversation with Chad Bolser, and I'm having a chance to sit for a few minutes with Brandy Jackson, who is Vice Chancellor of Workforce and Development for Ivy Tech. That's kind of a new title there, Workforce and Development. Talk about how those two are put together and what it means for you.
Yeah, so Workforce is managing our Career Link team, which encompasses several roles, and I can talk about those in a second, but development is my work in the foundation. And with fundraising, I work with a lot of individuals in our community, but also with a lot of our employer partners. And so this seemed like a good way to just blend the two. Within Career Link, we have kind of the career side of things where we're coaching students on career. They take career assessments. We coach them through kind of some exploration and having opportunities for them to engage in a meaningful way with employers. And then we also have the skills training side, which is more on the workforce end. And so that's providing professional development for existing employees.
Talk a little bit about kind of that working with employer piece. What is it that you all create for them? And how do you do it? Because every employer is a little bit different. Mm-hmm. It requires a certain amount of flexibility, but I think that's a word that you all probably tend to use a fair amount.
Yes, we're very comfortable with flexible. And we work with employers to really just to meet their needs. And so we have kind of some basic programs that we offer or different kinds of credentialing. And once we hear from the employer what they're interested in, then we can customize that to fit their needs. Whether it's a certain piece of that program that they're looking for, or they like that, but they want to add another skill to that program.
It seems that ease of handling for you all, whether it's on the employer side or the employee side, is something that you all continue to push and work to make simpler. You all want people to come here, so you make it easier for them, whether it's are classes down to 6 weeks? I mean, there are some 6-week classes, there's 18-week classes, there's 16-week. I mean, there's a flexibility there that makes this, I think, work for a lot of people, including on the high school level.
Yeah, so we serve a range of types of students, whether they're adult learners, high school students, traditional age, single parents, lots of different kinds of people come to Ivy Tech to get a degree. And so it's our job to adapt and meet their needs, and we try to do that however we can.
1 in 3 students doing dual credit. That sounds like a very impressive number. I don't know what to compare it to when you all look around the state. How does that work out for you all?
Yeah, we're impressed with that too, and I think that we're going to see that increase with new high school graduation requirements. I think we'll see even more students taking advantage of that.
How has that manifested itself in terms of students being able to spend, and I'm not trying to take them out of the building, but maybe even less time in this facility post high school? Some high school students, I understand, are walking across the stage, getting their high school diploma and getting an Ivy Tech diploma almost at the same time.
Yeah, so last year we were so impressed with the showing of high school students at the Ivy Tech graduation, and I would say about half of the students who walked across the stage were dual credit students who were getting some sort of credential or degree before they even graduated from their high school.
What do you do with a new employer that comes into town? Talk a little bit about that process, because we seem to be having that really on a fairly regular basis, which is a good thing. New employers moving in, you all having that conversation, and what are your spaces like now that you all have taken most of this floor toward the medical area? What kind of spaces do you think you will be transforming, and what will those manufacturing areas be like for you all?
Yeah, so we try to work really closely with the EDC in all of the counties that we serve, just to know about those opportunities and who's coming in and how we can best serve them. So we try to be a part of those initial conversations, or at least to meet up with those employers when they do choose to come to the area. And then over in McDaniel Hall, we have some lab space, and we are trying to, well, we've just created our first Flex Lab and working on more. So we're really trying to adapt again to employer needs and respond quickly to what those needs are. So we don't have one room that's reserved for one specific thing. We can change that up and offer multiple things to our employers.
Does that make things difficult in any way for faculty as you make those shifts in those rooms? You've got one manufacturer in one day, maybe another manufacturer in the other day. How do you all continue to make those adjustments?
All about scheduling. Scheduling times in different rooms and spaces, but our faculty has been very excited about this opportunity for the Flex Lab, and so actually Caleb Hale, one of our program chairs, has been a big part of making this work for us. So they're on board.
Where do you all see more changes, more major renovations, like what you all, I mean, what you've done on the second floor here is obviously huge.
Yes.
You're not going to do it to every building.
I wish we could.
But are there areas where you see some of this needing to take place? I mean, obviously we do a lot with pet food manufacturers. I don't know what you all's relationship is with them, but do you see needing some space in that area for a group of manufacturers like that?
We definitely have opportunities to do more, I think. We do have plans over in McDaniel Hall, along with the first Flex Lab. We have, kind of a wish list and some other things that we hope to see moving here in Johnson Hall. So, yeah, we have plans.
Okay. I'm not gonna, I know there's certain things that can't be said, and I understand. We are down to our last minute and a half or so. I want to ask you, what do you want to share with the community? I haven't had a chance to ask you, we haven't had a chance to talk about, but maybe there's something you really need the community to know about Ivy Tech, about this space, and I'm just going to give you a minute just to, whatever it is you feel like you need to share.
Okay. Well, I would just say sort of what we've talked about already, that Ivy Tech is here to serve this community, and that includes Fayette, Rush, Randolph, Union, and Wayne, and even into parts of Ohio. But we are here to serve our community in whatever capacity that we can, and our goal is to respond swiftly and adapt to the needs of our employers and to our students. So.
Brandy Jackson, Vice Chancellor of Workforce and Development for Ivy Tech, Richmond, Connorsville, Rushville. So thank you for the time today. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot for watching this week's In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. If you missed any of the program, replays tonight at 10:30, tomorrow night at 8, Saturday 8 a.m. and 9 p.m., Sunday 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. Check us out on Facebook as well as on our YouTube channel. I hope you have yourself a great week. Join us next week for another In Focus. As always, I wish you well.